Excellent. Yeah. A full back row. Oh, hey, my microphone is on. I don't need my microphone on right now, thank you. but I know you were testing it, and that's fine.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay.
Just don't take my book.
Yeah, I'll have to be mindful of time. Okay. Good morning. Oh. You know, they probably sometimes have people up here who don't have this booming voice. Mike's probably going, well, turn it down, turn it down. My name is Rich Richins. I'm going to be your service associate this morning, and we're going to begin today with a reading of just a few announcements. It's not a long list, so we should be able to get through this quickly. Now, the first one refers to the mindfulness group. This group meets weekly now, only on Tuesdays and from 3 to 4 p.m. They're meeting in the RE Great Room, and if you have any questions at all, please contact Carol Allen. Is she here? Yep, right back there. Okay? Okay. Number 2, the Tombaugh Gallery. The show Roditi Whimsy, featuring the works of Martha Roditi, continues through next weekend. That's May 26th. And the gallery will be open this afternoon after the service. It's also open on Fridays from 10 to 2 and Saturdays from 11:30 to 2. And if you check the church website, you can get additional hours for the gallery. Vegan Las Cruces. This is a support group for vegans, vegetarians, and anybody who's wishing to reduce their meat or dairy consumption. They meet the first and third Thursdays of each month. And so their next meeting is June 6th. And that'll be the first Thursday of the month. They're going to meet from 7 until 8:30 p.m., once again in the RE Great Room. So if you have an interest in supporting or working with or learning more about Vegan Las Cruces, June 6th, RE Great Room, 7 p.m. Let's see, I'm going to skip and just say quickly, there is no round table today. Instead, what we will do is we will have a visioning action day immediately following the service. Okay, you guys have been participating in little casita groups, and we have compiled the information from those groups. We want to take just like 10 or 15 minutes. So the way this is going to work, we will have our service here. We're going to go over and have a snack. It's actually a little more substantial snack than we're used to, so you get a light lunch out of it. And then we're going to share with you some of the results and what we want to do with them for just like 10 or 15 minutes over there in the RE Great Room. And we'll probably come over here into 2 or 3 breakout sessions for those who want to continue the discussion about a few particular directions that we wanted to investigate today or to continue with. We don't anticipate being here until 5 p.m. I guarantee you I will not be here at 5 p.m. But the more of you who can be there, the more of you can participate, the better. Okay? So please consider staying afterwards and participating at our Visioning Action Day. And finally, Peace Village. This was a really neat thing the church did. They started this back in, I think, 2006, and I was actually in that first year's committee working with Ann Knowles and Sandra Barbecue. And we did some really incredible things, and then due to the pandemic and things, it kind of got away from us. We want to start this up again. We initially wanted to start one this summer, but we realized we really don't have enough time to do this properly, so we're now aiming for a natural break in the school year that should occur right toward the end of September or the very beginning of October in the Las Cruces Public Schools. We're looking for people who would like to get involved with this Peace Village. And you can get involved, you can be a driver for students, a very minimal commitment. You can help teach classes. You don't need to cover the class for the whole week. You can go and do a cameo if you know something about ecology or working together or avenues for peaceful resolution. Helping with activities. The kids really like playing games. So this is all elementary school kids, so they're going to want to do a lot of play. And if you can come and support their play, or if you can help with the food. We serve food to our volunteers and also to the students who need food. So if any of those things call to you, give a shout out to Svea Peterson or Sandra Barbecue. Okay? This is really, really neat program. I'd love to see it pick up again. So I got active again with the group, and I'm kind of hoping some of you will too. Okay. That's it for the announcements.
Good morning. Good to see you this morning. I'm going to be over here. It's kind of nice. I won't have to run back and forth quite as much. I'm Catherine Massey, Director of Music. I'm so happy to be with you. I invite you to put your phone in worship mode if you haven't done that already. And we always begin with some singing. Our opening hymn today is one that we often use, Come, Come, Whoever You Are, and it's based on the poetry of Rumi. However, in the hymnal, it's missing some essential words. So we're going to add those in and have anyone who wants to sing that part, mainly if you're a lower part, to sing it kind of as a drone, just sing the same thing over and over again. And so that part goes... Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Okay, we got that. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit. We'll start with that, and then we'll sing the song. Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come, 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 whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. I hope you find some measure of enrichment, fulfillment, growth, enlightenment here today. My name is Rich and I am today's service associate. The Reverend Rod Thompson is in the pulpit. Our music director, Catherine Massey, sitting there behind the piano, will be leading our distinguished UUCLC Choir. Kelly Ingram is our Director of Religious Education. She will not be here today, so acting in Kelly's place will be Reverend Rod. Give him a good shout out, okay? On the tech side, we have Elwin Nunn on the camera. We have Claire Wallace working the soundboard, and Mike Yatsko's managing our YouTube interface. The chalice table has been lovingly prepared by Diane Lee and Gillian Ling. Lisa Stevens, Diane Lee, and Susan West are today's greeters. Hospitality, and it's a really bonus hospitality today, as I said, is offered today by the Finance Committee, and every single volunteer involved in this service is just delighted that you are here today. So if you are visiting us today, and hopefully there are a couple of visitors in the room, we would love to meet you. So if you're willing and able, just raise your hand up. I'm going to gimp over to you just a little bit. I managed to take my knee out at the golf course. There's our microphone. And I'll bring the microphone over to you, and what I'd like you to do is just briefly introduce yourself, say your name and where you're from, so the rest of the congregation can get to know you a little bit. I'll be right there. It's not on.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Jamala Mackin, and I was involved at the Unitarian Rio Rancho in the past. I was a volunteer there, actually. And I'm Jean Gilbert's pet sitter. And I live here in Las Cruces for the last 13 years. I'm glad to meet everybody.
Wow, very good. Thank you for being here. Any other guests here today? Do we have any at the YouTube? Nope, okay. Well, for our guest that is in the room and anybody else who is interested, if you want more information about the church, about our church. Little cards out in the lobby. We'd ask that you fill them out, and somebody will be in contact with you. Okay. Unitarian Universalism has no specific creed or dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to live in relationship with each other according to 8 Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace inherent worth, dignity, and diversity in all its forms. Everyone is welcome. And you can learn more about our church at our website, which is uuchurchlc.org. And as I said before, please remember after the service to go over to the RE Great Room, enjoy a light lunch, and we'll continue our casita discussions and summarize some of that information. Okay? So we're going to move to the chalice lighting. This morning it was interesting. I got here as one of the first people in the building, as it's often the case. And so I went over and pounded out a little Mozart, which Catherine got to hear. But before she actually got in the room, I also had a little one-on-one with the chalice table. And so I had a little discussion with the chalice, and it really had a neat message it wanted me to share with you. So I am for this, the chalice. I am the chalice on the table. Check me out. Each week at UU gatherings around the world, I'm displayed among beautiful fabrics and meaningful artifacts. The person rises to say kind things about me and what I try to represent. Virtuous stuff like hope, truth, and awe of nature, community, reason. A spark is then struck. Actually, it's a high-tech plasma laser lighter thingy now. But regardless, just for that instant when the chalice flame is ignited, not yet, we all join. We all join in that common experience. And for just that brief moment, we are all one. It's a simple yet elegant ceremony, and I must admit to enjoying my blessed existence. I feel included, I feel respected, I feel loved. But there's just one thing that befuddles me. I may be your symbol, but it's each one of you who is actually the light. I get dusted off and displayed for an hour a week. You all spend way more time being lights to our community. So how about today, as Reverend Rod lights me, you all symbolically take your little plasma lighter thingy bloopers and light that little wick on top of your head so that your light may shine today also. Now, yeah, yes. It's tough working with me.
Now it's my turn.
Yes, now it's your turn. That didn't take your notes.
Our opening words this morning are from a song, I Am Unique and Unrepeatable, found in the RE curriculum, We Believe, and also in Around the Church Around the Year. And no, we're not going to sing it. Or I'm not going to sing it. But I would like you to participate in it responsively. And your words are in green, if I remember right. I mean, mine are. So, I'm unique and unrepeatable.
I'm glad to be me.
I'm unique and unrepeatable.
I'm glad that you are you.
I'm unique and unrepeatable.
I'm glad that we're us.
Welcome to this celebration of life. If you will stand now as you're willing and able and join in reading together the covenant and then singing together the doxology in English and in Spanish.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls
Good morning, church. Hey, you needed to do that. You know. There are, to my seeing, no children here this morning. They've already gone over to the RE building for their classes. In case one shows up, I'll escort them out. But anyway. There once was a man who had 4 young sons. He wanted to teach each of them about the dangers of judging things too rapidly before seeing all aspects of the situation. So he decided to send each of them on a journey, one after the other, to view and observe a distant pear tree. Each son traveled in a different season. The first in winter, the second in spring, the third son in the summer, and the fourth in the fall. At the end of the year, he brought his children together and asked them about what they had seen and observed. The son who traveled in the winter described a gnarled, twisted, twisted and barren tree that stood stark and ugly against the land. The son who went in spring disagreed completely. He commented that the tree seemed full of hope and promise, with many green buds along the branches. The third son, who traveled in the summer, described the pear tree he had seen as covered with beautiful blossoms and looked and smelled divine. Finally, the fourth and last son, who made the journey in the fall, was even more elated. He described the tree laden with sweet and delicious pears that tasted better than any he had ever eaten before. After each son had spoken, the father said they were actually all correct, because each had only seen but one season of the pear tree's life. He told his sons that it is foolish and impossible to make wise and fair judgments in this manner. He further explained that the essence of something, whether it's a tree or a fellow human being, can only be measured as a whole at the end of the year, having seen it all of its development and fullness. To make a negative judgment in winter is to miss the promise of spring, the beauty of summer, and the delicious fruit of fall. And there is, of course, a moral of the story. Refuse to judge yourself, life, or other people based upon a single mistake or challenging time. Refuse to let the pain of one season destroy the joy of what is to come in the future. I think we get to sing again.
We're singing number 305, De Colores, from the Gray Hymnal, but the words are going to be up there because we have some words that are not in there from our Spanish hymnal, and we get to make little bird sounds. It's going to be great. So I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing together.
Colores,
I love that piece. It's spirited, energy. I feel it. We'll next turn to that portion of our service where we recognize the joys, sorrows, concerns of our congregants. One of the ways we support each other is through the sharing of these joys and sorrows and milestones. So if you have a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone you'd like to share with the congregation this morning, please raise your hand and I will bring a microphone to you. Remember, this is not a time for announcements. State your name and what's on your heart. So are there any joys anybody like to share this morning?
Yeah, hi. I'm here today with my mom who's turning 86 today.
Anybody else? Up on the roof.
Hi, I'm Claire. I think it was last week I said something about having gotten an opportunity with the Gabe Vasquez campaign, and officially I will be starting on June 5th working as a field organizer for Gabe Vasquez. So I'm very excited about that. Big career moves, so yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Trantham, and hi, Mom! Because my announcement's about my mother. This spring is full of life and, as things are growing, and I'm just so happy to tell you that my mother is doing amazingly well. I cannot imagine. 3 years ago, she survived her first aortic dissection, and I'm happy to tell you, and then 3 years later, nearly the same time, she did it again in a different part of her aorta. So she now has all of her aortas either stented or replaced, and she's doing better than she was 3 years ago. So I'm just so super pleased, and Mom, I hope you don't get mad at me that I said anything.
My name's Mary Armstrong. My joy has a bit of a sorrow with it, I'm afraid. My sister, I had a call from my mother yesterday morning telling me my sister had been rushed to the University of Iowa hospitals in an ambulance. She has been going through some terrible pains, like in her upper GI area, for months, I believe. Like excruciating pain, and she's gone to several doctors and undergone many tests and never been able to find out what the problem was. And finally, the symptoms were so bad that her husband rushed her to an emergency room, and they immediately sent her by ambulance to the University of Iowa hospital. And they seem to found out finally that it's her gallbladder. I mean, after all this time, you would think that I'm honestly, she saw, I don't know how many doctors, and it just seems like such a simple diagnosis. But anyway, hopefully she's going to have her surgery today, and she'll be her old self.
All right. Good luck to her. Good luck to her. Any more joys, sorrows, milestones? Yes.
Good morning. My name's Mary Flynn, and one of my older sisters, Nancy, who lives in San Diego, has beat cancer twice. Kidney cancer and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she's brave and courageous, and we're all so proud of her. And she found out a few weeks ago during a routine follow-up care that there's a spot on her pancreas. And so we're kind of following her lead, remaining hopeful, and but we're all scared. We're all scared for her and what might lie ahead. So I ask that you keep her in your prayers. Okay, thank you.
My name is Sandy Nielsen, and I don't have a joy. I have a sorrow. In my heart every day, I'm thinking about the people in Gaza. I can't believe that Israel is going to continue this. There are thousands demonstrating in the streets in Tel Aviv saying they want the war to stop. But it goes on and goes on. I'm wondering why our church and other churches aren't demonstrating too. One morning on the news, I heard a woman, an American, who was volunteering at a hospital in Gaza. And she said every morning when she came, they had to get a meeting and decide who they would let die that day and who they had medicines enough to help. They were out of painkillers entirely. People should not have to live that way, and many of them cannot. Somehow, the world has to make this stop. I've called the White House 3 times and left messages. I don't want my tax money going for more armaments in that war. But how's that going to stop?
I'm going to go ahead and light one last candle just to symbolize any thoughts, concerns, milestones that might not have been shared. This thing is neat. He says he's going to do it. It needs to be charged. It's out of juice. There it goes again. Yeah.
There you go.
Just like I planned it.
My reading this morning is entitled Affirming the Inherent Worth and Dignity of Every Person by my colleague, the Reverend James Bridges. We all cause divisiveness at times. We triangulate relationships, we gossip, we become petty. We're all broken people capable of taking far more positive action than we sometimes do. But these facts do not distract from the inherent worth and dignity of each person. In spite of everything, we are worthy and dignified in the eyes of our God, our Great Spirit, our essence of nature, and in the eyes of each other. In spite of our shortcomings as people, we are worthwhile. We may disagree with each other, we may be contentious, yet we still, indeed we must, affirm and promote each other's inherent worth and dignity. And when we are on our best behavior, we treat each other that way too, even in the midst of an argument. We do not look down upon, we do not use bitter sarcasm toward each other. Rather, we disagree with respect and let the democratic process play itself out. I would also suggest that when we do conflict with another, that in and of itself can be a sign of showing inherent worth. We value that other person enough to give of ourselves, to tell the other that what we really think and feel. And it is in such dialogue that the truth often emerges. So the next time we read this phrase, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, may we think about what a powerful affirmation we are making and truly affirm it with the core of our being. The inherent worth and dignity of every person, that means for all Unitarian Universalists, but also it means for Muslims and Hindus as well as Christians. It includes both sexes. It includes all sexual orientations, lesbian, gay, bi, transgender. It includes all ethnicities and nationalities, whether black, white, brown, or someplace in between. It includes all social and educational classes. This principle challenges and shatters our prejudices. May it be so today and evermore.
Before we sing this amazing song that you're going to love, I hope, this is our last choir Sunday for the season. We're going to take a little break until August when we start again. And I want you to just look at these faces and know these are some of the most hardworking volunteers in our congregation. Would you please rise? They spend so many hours working on these pieces for you. I counted them up. We did 39 special pieces of music, choral music this year. And it just warms my heart. Just a word about this piece. Every bit of music that we do, including the hymns, are very carefully selected. And this one we've done a lot of music by Mark Miller this year. Mark Miller is an African-American gay composer who is Methodist, struggled through that schism in the Methodist Church, which is still suffering, I think, and has provided work like this one, which says, "What does the Lord require of you? It's not judging other people, that's for sure."
God has told you with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God, oh live with God, live humbly with your God, live humbly with your God. Justice, kindness, 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 live humbly with your God.
Wow. With all of the music this morning, more to come, and the reading that I shared, I'm not sure what else I should say. But I guess the homily is what they pay me for, so, well, what you pay me for. Soul Matters has named pluralism as the theme for the month of May, which just happens to bring to my mind the first of our Unitarian Universalist Association principles. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Like a lot of theological language, the words of these principles are fairly simple, profound, but simple, and a lot easier to say than to live. Individually, you do not have to subscribe to these principles to be a Unitarian Universalist, but they are a pretty good, or at least fair, consensus of what we do value. They're kind of a working theology. To be part of the Unitarian Universalist Association, this congregation has agreed to affirm and promote these principles. And yes, I know that at the General Assembly in June, it's likely that the Assembly will vote to change Article 2 of the UUA bylaws as a whole new way of thinking about who we are and what we value. Before that happens, and in no way do I oppose the changes, but today I want to focus on that first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, because for me, that is the heart of pluralism, everyone's inherent worth and dignity. But what does that mean? What does pluralism and that principle call us to do? What are we affirming and promoting? What are we encouraged to do? To me, it means that each and every being is valuable, unique, and unrepeatable. Just because they exist, just because they are living beings. And also, I think that there are two ways in which we are called to live out pluralism and this principle. One is locally, and the other is globally. Locally, here in this congregation, in this community, I believe we are called to welcome everyone who comes to our doors, recognizing their inherent worth and dignity, even those who challenge us. And no, I'm not talking about those who would endanger us or our children. I'm talking about those who bring a different way of thinking about life. They too have worth and dignity. Those with different faith focus, they too have worth and dignity. Those who don't have the education that most of us do, they too have worth and dignity. Those who don't have the spending money that most of us do, they too have worth and dignity. I'm talking also about the mentally ill, talking about those with lower cognitive ability, all those living with physical challenges. They too have worth and dignity. All those who society has marginalized. Our first principle in pluralism means we welcome into our midst everyone who has worth and dignity. Valuing a pluralistic society as we do means we need to continue to demonstrate how valuable pluralism is as a way of life. Of course, living out our faith locally doesn't just mean inside our campus. It also means being a beacon of pluralism in the rest of the community where we live. And just as we are called to live as if everyone has worth and dignity locally, we're also called to act more globally as well. Throughout the history of our two religious traditions, this has meant we could and would champion those whom others considered to be expendable, those marginalized by society at large. Like during the Reformation, we championed all non-Catholics, like the Lutherans and even the Calvinists. We also championed non-Calvinists, even the Catholics. One example is the Edict of Torda. I think many of you know that story, but just in case. In 1568, the King of Transylvania was young John Sigismund. He was crowned king when he was only 21 years old, which is usually not old enough to be a king. But the people of Transylvania were lucky because the young King John was well respected and thoughtful. He also had a very strong woman behind the throne, his mother, Queen Isabella. And it was a good thing because Transylvania was in big trouble. The two huge empires on either side of Transylvania, the Ottomans and the Habsburgs, were fighting each other, and there was always the danger that this small country would be gobbled up or forced to fight with one or the other. But Transylvania survived because, at least partially, because of the high Carpathian mountains protected them. Still, inside Transylvania, the people were fighting each other. They fought because after the changes of the Reformation, Transylvania now had 4 different competing religious groups. the Catholics, the Lutherans, the Calvinists. Am I causing wind and blowing your...
I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Anyway, the fourth one was Unitarians. Sometimes people of these different faiths fought each other with words, saying the worst things they could think of about each other, whether they were true or not. Which sounds awful familiar. Sometimes they fought each other more violently. So King John and Queen Isabella thought long and carefully about these problems and then decided what they were going to do. In 1568, King John called the best and most convincing speakers from each of the four religious traditions to come together at a place called Torda for a debate. The debate lasted for 10 days and began each morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. Most ministers are not up at 5 o'clock. There was a speaker or several speakers representing each faith. Francis David was the debater for the Unitarians. David spoke so convincingly and well that he won the debate for the Unitarians. Even King John, who had been raised a Catholic, decided to become a Unitarian. But, and this is the most important part of the story for us, and the part we need to tell others when they ask what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist. Even though our Unitarian ideas had been judged better than all the others, King John did not make all of the people of Transylvania become Unitarians. John and Isabella said that the people of Transylvania could debate their ideas about religion all they wanted to, but they could never again fight or punish or kill each other over their religious beliefs. They issued the Edict of Torda, which basically said, faith is a gift from God. No one should be able to force their religion or their faith on others. This was a very new and strange idea, which maybe we need to hear again. It was the first time a law of religious tolerance had been declared anywhere in the Western world. Today we UUs remember the Edict of Torda because this law made it safe to be a Unitarian. Yet it still let other people free to choose their whatever faith they valued. Later, as the story continues, our history in England, Unitarians and Universalists by this time championed all non-conformists, that is, other than being in the Church of England. That included the Puritans and the Quakers and the Baptists and the Methodists and even the Catholics. In this country, in the 18th and 19th century, we championed slaves, the mentally handicapped, the mentally ill, women, the poor. In the 20th century, we added conscientious objectors, war protesters of all kinds, civil rights activists, feminists, and we continue our willingness locally and as a religious body through our actions and our examples to demonstrate the worth and dignity of everyone in our society and all around the world. But do you realize how really radical this is? seeing everyone as having value, having worth, possessing dignity, it changes everything. It's easy to devalue people you don't know. But it's not easy when they have faces and names and personalities. War has always required dehumanizing the enemy. Think back to those World War II movies depicting all those atrocities and the torture and sneak attacks so that we would hate the enemy. We tried something like that with the Vietnam War, but it only partially worked. Lots of musicians like Mary Travers and, of course, Paul Stuckey and Peter Yarrow affected our thinking and our concern about the war. It's amazing to realize how many wars are sanctioned by religions. Today it is the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. And we're selling munitions to both. Living as if every person has inherent worth and dignity, it changes everything. Things were a little different during the Great Depression. The poor were everywhere. But that was in the era of community where people really took care of each other during that time. I'm sure if you haven't lived through it, you've heard stories. Even if some wanted to depersonalize the poor, Woody Guthrie and other musicians, writers, artists wouldn't let us. They gave the poor faces and voices. Now it is a new era. I get so discouraged. The poor get poorer while the rich get richer. The distance between the haves and the have-nots gets wider. The gulf between the races and ethnic groups gets wider all over the world. And trust gets rarer and rarer. I do get depressed. There is more and more violence all around us. Gangs and militias and terrorists and drugs and overt racism and profiling. In fact, I just learned this week that New Mexico has been deemed the #1 state in the union for violence. I thought New Mexico was better than that. Governments have wanted to solve all of these problems in many ways. They either by throwing money at it or taking money away from it or by getting meaner and meaner. So far, that hasn't changed things much. Our whole culture seems to diminish worth and negate dignity in direct proportion to one's wealth. I get discouraged. I get depressed. These ideas are so big and pervasive, I keep asking myself, why aren't we solving these problems? Why haven't we had more of an impact? Why haven't I? Of course, in my more aware moments, I know we can't solve these problems by ourselves, or maybe even in our lifetimes, much to the chagrin of our children and our grandchildren. So we must work with others as we try to get to the causes of these problems by joining forces with others who are doing the same work as we are. contrary to what society tries to tell us, contrary to what the radical politicians try to tell us, we're not in competition to survive. We need to work together to end all of these continental problems. Still, we are a minority tail trying to wave wag a very large dog. But I believe this is what pluralism and this principle call us to do. And there is another side of this work that we sometimes forget. Those who disagree with us also have inherent worth and dignity. Those of the radical religious right also have worth and dignity. Those who are fanatically fearful also have inherent worth and dignity. Homophobes, those who are afraid of losing their jobs to minorities, bigots of all kinds, they all have inherent worth and dignity too, whether they think we do or not. That should not keep us from opposing the evil in the world or supporting our own causes. It's just that it means that we oppose the evil, not the people, the injustice, not the people, the oppression, not the people. We must continue to affirm and promote a religious tradition that keeps us feeling secure in our own worth and dignity, in our value of others and of all of life. That is one reason why I am proud to be part of a religious tradition that insists that I function as if everyone has worth and dignity, and that makes it possible to relate to each other as whole living beings. Saying it is easy, acting on it not so easy. I wonder, as we are determining our vision and priorities for next year or so, I hope one of those priorities might be an even deeper focus on social action, living out these Unitarian Universalist principles and values of ours. Please stay for the visioning meeting that your board and Casita meetings have prepared for us, and then put in your 2 cents worth or a quarter's worth. Come and be part of the process. This is your congregation, so it is your responsibility to determine the future.
Wow. I'm also prone to depression when I sometimes see what's going on in the world. And I'll tell you what, coming in here on a Sunday morning kind of builds me up again, because I see a group of people coming together with their heads on in a good place, in a positive place, trying to make positive changes for our community. And with that in mind, we segue into that portion of our service when we ask and honor the church for the support, the members of the congregation for the support that they give to our church and our community. So at this time, an offering will be taken, as Reverend Rod just alluded to, as a chance for you to put in your 2 cents or your quarter. Or, as the choir put it, what does the Lord want from you? The change for change for this quarter benefits CASA. So if you put change in the basket or write a check and write CASA or change for change on there, it will be directed to our social action cause.
I suspect you might be familiar with these closing words from Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. So may it always be.
Our closing hymn is number 95. There is more love somewhere. An African American spiritual. It calls out for harmony. And so I invite you to no fault harmony. That means try to sing some different notes, and if they don't sound good, change them. Please rise in body or spirit.
That's beautiful when we do it like that. That's just beautiful. Our church service has nearly concluded, and it's time to extinguish our chalice's light. I'd like you to consider keeping your personal light shining for a bit longer. We have a brief meeting after we conclude here today. But please go out and make this world a better place for all who dwell here. And first, please join me in saying the words we use to extinguish the chalice flame. The words are on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.